Hello and welcome to the Beautifully Human podcast. I'm Nik Sheasby. In this podcast, I speak with beautiful humans from all around the world, sharing with you their incredible stories, revealing the power in every human story to spread love and humanity to a world that is in desperate need of it, to show that we can all connect in beautiful ways no matter where we come from or what we look like. What you will find out is that we are all beautifully human. Let's all be beautifully human. Hello and welcome to the Beautifully Human podcast. This is night one, and I figured what better way to start our podcast off than with the best half of the Wanderlust Moon duo, Lindsey Bathke. Hi, Lindsey.
Hello.
It's weird calling you Lindsey, but that's your name. So that's what I'll call you formally on this first night of our podcast. This is very exciting.
Tea cheers.
Tea cheers. What kind of tea are you drinking?
Turmeric Glow by Puka.
Turmeric Glow by Puka. All right. I'm drinking a chai tea. And I'm going to ask some questions, and we're going to have some discussion, and it's going to be super fun, because I might actually learn some stuff about you that I don't know yet, even though at this point when we're recording this, we have spent 380 some days consecutive together without not seeing each other.
Yes.
That's a pretty big accomplishment. So, actually, I want to start off with explain.
And I was going to say, I've heard these questions, or seen these questions be answered.
Yes.
But I did not want to look at them before we tape this, because I wanted to think on my toes. Well, I'm sitting down. I wanted to think on my butt.
Yeah, on your buns.
So, my buns.
Yeah. So tell me the story of how you met me.
It was the summer of 2019, and you and I get the giggles now. Oh no, this always happens to me.
That's all right.
We both got hired to work for the Rolling Stones, so we went out on the road, and I was working the dressing room, and you were with the merch team. And I remember seeing you and thinking you were, the first day in Chicago, I thought you were the opening band, and then I just saw you keep showing up. But we just started talking because I worked in the dressing room, and you were always set up in the dressing room. And then we became, like, oh, let's hang out. Oh, hey, how are you? Like on days off, and that first day off in Canada.
Or a Medante.
We just hung out and we became adventure buddies. And that was really amazing and fun, and just, it seemed like from the get-go we were both pretty open with sharing our lives, and then also wanting to do the same things with our day. Get up, have tea or coffee, and get out and see the world, or the U.S. that we were in last year. And so it just, I think we really aligned that way. And so it's just, we were spending a lot of time together and grew closer and closer. And
yeah, totally.
Started hanging out.
I mean, night one, I felt so comfortable with you that I dished my whole life story.
Yes,
I said, hi, Lindsey. Oh, man, here it is. Here's me and all my craziness from my past.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because I felt so comfortable sharing that with you, and it was just so easy. And then I remember the next morning saying, hey, let's hang out. And then 16 hours later, we called it a night.
Yeah.
And that was our start. It was a massively long 16-hour hangout day, hiking in the hills of Medante, swimming and going to dinner and just having an awesome day. And it was so cool.
I think it was so lovely because we were friends. Like, we really started out as friends. And yes, I was in a relationship when we met.
Yes.
That I knew wasn't going anywhere, but we also wanted to not be together while I was in a relationship. You know, I had to play that out and see where that took itself and play out before you and I made any steps to be you and I beyond just being awesome adventure buddy friends. And I think that really set the groundwork for us to be able to grow.
Totally.
And not have yucky feelings about how we started or what would happen in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I, in a former life, would have probably been the shithead that would have just said, whatever, I'm coming in, I want to be with Lindsey. Boom.
Yeah.
But then I've gone through enough in life that I didn't want that. I didn't want us to start off that way in any negative form. When I had to leave for a tour, I didn't want to doubt or think, who's that guy that's going on a hike with you for 16 hours and I'm off doing whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was super cool, and I honestly thought you were out of my league because you were older. You're on tour with the Rolling Stones. I know better now.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're an older woman. You're on tour with the Rolling Stones. As I'm getting to know you, I mean, that's a daunting...
But you were too.
True, but I didn't know your past. I didn't know what you'd worked on before. So, I mean, the first night when you waved at me in the bar, I knew I felt comfortable, but I also... Yeah, it was just that unknown territory of just not knowing, like, man, if you just consistently tour with the Rolling Stones, like, I'd done big stuff, but, I mean, Rolling Stones, as people would say, is like bucket list, and I said it's a...
Beyond a bucket list. Like,
no
unfathomable.
Fucking way.
Yeah.
Like,
unfathomable list. Yeah.
Like, could be on a bucket list if the bucket list was the most impossible band to ever get on tour with.
Yeah.
So... That's kind of how I felt, but I like hearing that story, especially because she thought I was a rock star, which is pretty awesome. I've gotten it before.
Yeah.
I always say that half of the only musical talent that I have is looking like I play music. So if I ever learn, I got it down.
This, yeah.
Yeah, I got it down. So we'll move into some of these other questions. So a little context for the first one. Lindsey and I... in 2020 times, there was a massive quarantine and all touring was canceled for the first time ever. I famously ate my words the night before everything was canceled. So we were locked down in Nashville where we live, and we were trying to figure out what we could do to make our dreams come true, something we both wanted to do separately. And now that we were together and we actually had time and we knew we were not going on the road or working, so Lindsey and I bought a van and we decided to go on a big ass road trip.
We did.
In a pandemic time in a country that was not doing very well at containing it.
That's the USA.
That's the USA. Well done. So, best and worst parts of our road trip that we just finished a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, best and worst. Wow. Okay. You're really throwing me because I didn't know you wrote new questions.
Yeah, I brought one.
All right. Best part. Well, of course there was the beauty, which was like the boundary waters of northern Minnesota or the beach in Washington State where we slept for 3 days and could walk. So yet I think beyond that of just like what the magic we saw was best and worst part was I found out that I have a lot of worry that I carry with me, and driving our sweet Surge Uri around and being the driver, I worried a lot. Like, are we going to make it to our destination tonight?
Sure.
And then after we had a couple breakdowns, just hoping that we'd have like a safe breakdown. And so all this worry came up, and I did my breathing techniques, and I was like, this is not going to develop, into an ovarian cyst or like other things that have caused me stress before, or let stress how I manifest in my body. And then that led to us bickering. Yes. Because you don't carry very much worry. And so, which in turn, worst part, I was like, oh, I have worry. Us bickering turned into just like one of the greatest parts because we bickered. We figured it out. Then we got to see ourselves through that and get to appreciating the beauty. Like when we had a breakdown and we had to get a new transmission. We didn't break down. We drove ourselves in
That's true.
to get a new transmission. So we were in Boise for, I think it was like 34 days when we thought it was going to be 7 to 10. And when we left Boise, we said, this is great. We are going to do these last 2 weeks home so we could get home to vote with new eyes. So we were very intentional about getting up to see the sunrise. I took a lot of breaths, and we learned how to bicker better.
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Me getting worried and then you helping me with that, or me, you know, being like, can you just meet me here and help me with my worry and whatever it was. I think that was a beautiful thing that we could work ourselves through. I think that was a gift of noticing what was going on for me, how you handle situations, how I handle situations differently, being together in a very small space and handling the situation together. So I think outside of all the beauty, which we always have those memories, those which you can take with you. Yet I also think that the best and worst was like these, I don't want to say uglinesses, but these life-ish stuff came up for us, and we worked through it.
Yeah, little issues.
Yeah, little issues that it was like, all right, and this is how we can handle it in the future. This is how we handle, you know, when we're presented with a challenge, how do each of us come at it because we're in it together.
Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful because I tend to, throughout my whole life, I was not a worrier. I never really worried about much. And then especially 2+ years ago, a little over 2 years ago, when I almost died, I just figured out that the lack of worry just got bigger. Mm-hmm. I would lose myself in worry if I did. So it was tough for me to see you worrying, and then it was almost a forced emotion for me to worry.
Right.
And then it felt very uncomfortable for me just even being that, and then trying to figure out how to communicate through myself going through those feelings and meeting you where you were at. Right. And knowing I needed to do that, but not really knowing how to get to that in myself so I think that's a really cool, I like that you said that. That one I came up with today because I was like, I'd like to hear that, because we didn't ever actually sit down until just a second to talk about that. And that's a really cool way to go about that. So it was really neat to see us bicker and then figure it out.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was a very tiny space, We're living in a van.
Yeah.
Granted, our front and backyard were these amazing places that we parked, and it was really neat to just be so together. And it was you and I, and then Serge and Winona, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Not R.I.P. She's still out there, but it was a canoe that we had to sell to buy a transmission, but we had some amazing times in her.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So first question of the Beautifully Human questions is, tell me a story that shaped your life.
Well, I think when you wrote these and you were asking people, I don't know if it's this one or if it's another one, but one story always comes into my mind of almost not being here. I think I could answer that with this one. When my parents were pregnant with me, my mom went to my dad was in chiropractic school, and my parents were relatively low income, living in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities. And I think they were in St. Paul proper. But they went to a clinic, and the doctor told my mom that I was utopic. So I was growing outside of her fallopian tube where I shouldn't be. And that he wanted to perform a DNC, which is not an abortion, but like it basically is. You go in and scrape the egg out from where it's growing improperly. And I'm not sure if she told my dad or if he was with her, but they were supposed to go in like the next day at 6 a.m. and they felt very uncomfortable with it. And they talked about it, and they got up the next morning and they're like, we just think we need a second opinion. And they went to a different clinic, to a different doctor, and got checked out, and the doctor said, this pregnancy is perfectly viable. And then my parents were unable to have any more children after me. They tried, for a long time, till I was 9, I believe they tried. And to think that doctor was going to do away with my life, and then it makes me sad to think how many other families he may have done that to.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I wonder, like, the morals, his morality of thinking, like, playing God and thinking, I don't know if he was judging my parents of, like, here's another young couple, not a lot of money, and they're going to bring a baby into this world. I'm not going to let them do that. Like, whatever twisted, sick mentality this doctor had. But thank goodness my parents had the wherewithal to say, we feel very uncomfortable with this. Something didn't feel right.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be here if it was up to that doctor.
Yeah, I would like to
have a word with him.
Well, and I would love to give the doctor who said this is perfectly viable.
Yeah,
I would love to hug that woman.
I feel like it was a woman.
Let's give it to a woman.
It's definitely a man that wanted to do away with me.
Yeah, so that guy, I would love to have a word with that guy, and it wouldn't be a very kind word, but I would love to give the woman a hug that brought my beautiful love into the world.
Thank you, dear.
All right. So this one, I think you could probably use that story as well, but I'm going in anyway. Tell me a story that almost ruined your life.
Oh, that's the one, because that definitely would have ruined my life.
That would have ruined your life very quickly.
Would have definitely ruined my life. Ruined my life. Maybe that's my ruined my life. And what was the other one? Shaped my life? A story that shaped my life? Yeah, tell me a story that shaped your life. I'll do that one. Okay. Let's just flip the order if you don't mind. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll say, because I've been, air quotes, touring for, I would think this would have been my 17th year on the road. I'll say I went to University of Colorado Boulder. Wow. How about that? Forgot to say that. And I thought I wanted to be on the radio.
Okay.
So I was interning and doing stuff for some stations in Denver, where I met my dear friend Mariah Kinnemer. And her and I decided to, I don't remember how we even thought, she loved going to shows. I'd go to shows with her. And we had heard maybe about they would hire stagehands and just, or intern stagehands at the Fox Theater on the Hill. So we went up to talk to the production manager, Justin Bash, and he was like, all right, yeah. You ladies are interested in being, I don't think he called us ladies, but he was like, you two are interested. Okay, what do you experience? Right, we work at a radio station. We'd really love to be here. I noticed working at the radio stations that I would bring in the bands and bring in the guests for like meet and greets. And that was it. And I was like, I want to be more involved. I want to feel like I made a small part in getting the artist on the stage and making the fans smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Connecting with that. So Mariah and I got internships at the Fox Theater. And we were, at the moment, for a few moments, it was just us two. And then I think our friend Kate came in and got hired. But yeah, that was my first time like on stage. So a band would come, we'd grab their cases, we'd show them to the dressing room. We would maybe go by the bus stop, or most people are in buses, but the hospitality, whatever little riders they had, or we'd sell merch or whatever it was. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And I remember going with Mariah to Denver to see Warped Tour, and we stayed till the end and sat in the parking lot watching them take down the stages. And we're like, this rules. And we're like, we want to do this. But just that opportunity at the Fox to come in, intern, and they would have a couple, Gary Yost, he was the monitor engineer, and he would have women-only workshops, a few. It was so we didn't feel intimidated, and he would make us wrap cables and ask me any questions about the board, ask me anything. And because I went in thinking I wanted to be an audio engineer, running monitors. And he would be, I want this to be not intimidating, but it was so lovely, and that really shaped my life, because then from there I met the first band I ever worked for, rappers I ever worked for. So when I moved to LA, I worked for them. So I think that really shaped it, because I was like, oh, I could do this. I can push a case. Like, sure. I could have hands on. I can see these fans smile. I can get this band to stage. And it was like, this is what I want to be doing. So
yeah, it's more the start to finish. You see them first thing in the morning, not the bands, but you see their crew and you're interacting and you see what road life sort of looks like. You get that glimpse, that first glimpse into that rolling off the bus, pushing cases at any time in the morning, whatever time load in would be. Yeah, that's funny. It puts me in mind of the first time I was rolling cables on a tour. It was not nearly as nice as that. As this guy Lloyd, who I haven't seen probably since the last tour I worked with him, which was 12, 13 years ago. He would come up and he'd say, all right, Nick, roll this cable. And we'd do the over-under technique. Over-under, which I've grown to love. I'm such a nerd about it. I love doing it.
It's meditative.
It is, yeah, just very meditative. But he'd get these long 100-foot ones. And then I'd do over-under, over-under. And he'd just grab it and he'd act like he was about to look at it. And he'd go, yeah, it's all right. And he'd just chuck it.
Yes.
Throw it, hold on to one end, and it would just be everywhere.
Yeah.
I'd be like, cool, go for it. But it taught me how to learn. But it definitely wasn't a nice, hey, come feel comfortable in the world of getting to know this life. It was more just like, let me check that out. Nope. Just would throw it. So,
well, Gary did that too, but it was very supportive.
Yeah. Lloyd was too. Lloyd was a great guy, but he just really loved fucking with everybody. So it was quite fun. And now I know how to do a bitchin' over-under.
Yes.
Which is very nice, especially when you do this job for so long.
Yeah, very true.
All right, so let's go to tell me a story that enriched your life.
Story that enriched my life. Am I allowed to tap out or pass on any of these questions? A story that enriched my life? Oof. Well, there's so many, I think. I just wish that they would come to mind. As we're talking.
You can also kick back in if one comes up.
Yeah.
All right. So this one might make you think back and get the answer to this one going in your mind. So tell me a story that enriched another life.
Enriched another life. Oh, man. I mean, I didn't want to plan beforehand because I wanted it to be spur of the moment. But, I mean, getting pushing near 40 and my brain feels like it's slipping away.
And it's very late.
Well, to some people it's very late. Me. To you?
Yes, to you.
Not so much.
Not to me, but to you, this is closing in on bedtime.
Yeah, it sure is. Enriched another life. Oh, honey, I'm just having brain farts. I mean, I know there's so many.
Okay. All right. So let's go to tell me a story of crazy life.
Oh, yeah, I got it, Ken. I'm back. Here I am.
Back in swinging.
Oh, maybe I can't tell these stories. I'm just thinking about... Well, I can say there was a band I worked for once. Crazy life. Well, that was the craziest it's been. Oh, no, I'll tell another one. This will be better. Same band, though. I was working for a band. I was young, early 20s. And I believe at that time, I was the only crew member. And so I did merch and I settled the show, tour manager. I think I just moved into tour managing because the previous tour manager left to go to law school. And we were in Las Vegas, and the show was over, and I was going to go settle. I'd done merch already, and I was going to go settle the show. So the venue had then turned into a nightclub, or was a nightclub, and so people are dancing, people are coming in. And I remember the band I was working for, we all got in a huddle, and was like, okay, we got to get out of here soon. Who's going to do what? Who's going to carry merch? Who's going to go? And then I remember one of the guys was like, someone's got to go with Lindsey to settle. And one of the guys was like, I'll go with her. And so we went in to go settle. And I remember we go in this back room. It was like someone's office. And I can remember it. You walk in, the desk was on the left, and we walked past the desk and kind of stood there. And the guy was like, okay, here's your money. Here's what I owe you. And go ahead and count it. And he had a gun on the table.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I looked at the guy I was with, and he's like, got the money. And we were like, and the door was locked. And so we counted the money, and we're like, yeah, it's good. It's good. And I'm like, you good? And he's like, we're good. And the guy's like, all right, yeah, cool. And it was just like, just that moment of like, oh, I went from like the girl growing up in Colorado to working for a band in LA to being in Las Vegas to counting money with a gun on the table. And I'm in this sketchy nightclub, and the guys that I worked for were a few of them, big muscly guys. So for them to be like, someone go with her, we got to get out of here. It was like, all right, it's time for us to leave. So got the money, ran back, and we're like, we got to get out of here, nerds. So we took off. So that was, I was with that band for 2 years, and there were some times I was so respected, which I will forever be grateful for.
Sure.
As a woman in that genre and field and everything. And oh man, it was cuckoo bananas at points. Just the best antics. But I'll leave it at crazy life with a gun on the table, counting money frantically with another one of the guys. I'm really glad he came with me.
Yeah, no kidding. I've settled many shows and many merch nights and many very well selling nights.
Yeah.
With a lot of money on the table, but there's never been a gun involved.
A gun and a locked door. I was like, yeah, why don't we get out of here?
How did it, when you walked in, was it like, welcome in?
Yeah, I think we walked in, like maybe like an assistant or someone walked us in, and then like the main guy came in, I feel like, and he like, mind you, this was 16 years ago probably, and he came in behind and just like, but lock the door. Yeah, here's your money. And I mean, it wasn't a huge sum of money. We're not talking thousand, a couple thousand. It wasn't tens of thousands.
Yeah.
But just for him to put that gun, and it was just like, all right, this isn't my scene. Yeah. And it wasn't the people I was working for scene either.
Sure.
Very clear. But that was just, it was like, all right, Vegas, I think we're good here.
Yeah, I'm just imagining some like cheesy Italian movie where it's just like
bright light, like one bright light, and this could all be just because I was like 22.
Sure.
But 23, it's just. But when I envision and what I remember of it, it was just like, oh my heavens, yeah.
Was it your first time seeing a gun?
Oh, it was. If it wasn't, it was really close to the first time. Yeah, I've only shot a rifle, I think, when I worked at a sheep dairy in Colorado.
Okay.
And that was a long time later, so yeah.
Yeah, I remember I grew up with a lot of friends having guns, but I was never into them. I would like go hang out at their houses and I would shoot them, so I wasn't ever necessarily like uncomfortable around them. I just wasn't my thing at all to have them. I never was like, I'm gonna have a gun.
Yeah, no.
Never my thing. But like one funny story that just came to mind, I had this friend Ben who would come over, and one time he had just bought a ton of guns, and he's like, yo guys, you want to see my new lot of guns that I bought? And I was like, I can't. Okay. I just was like, yeah, sure, man. And he popped his trunk, and it was like he was some small-time arms dealer. He had like 7 guns in there, and we were like, what the hell are you doing with all these? And he's like, I just like guns, dude. But I do remember the first time, and I know you haven't heard this story, but it came to mind because we were talking about guns. The first time I ever had a gun pulled on me was in Virginia. I was living with this dude who pissed a lot of people off. He kind of looked like Chris Kattan, that size, but picture him with like early 2000s, like emo
hair.
Yeah, like metal hair, lip piercing, totally like Chris Kattan. But he just shit talked to everyone, and everybody wanted to fight him. So he had Richmond, Virginia had this like super tough hardcore scene. And so the Lynchburg kids in Virginia would go to shows because they always had really awesome metal shows and hardcore shows. So he went to one time, apparently shit talked the wrong person. And, so yeah, he pissed a lot of people off. And then I didn't really know him that well, but a good friend of mine, Chuck, R.I.P. Chuck, we were living together and we needed another roommate. And so he said, hey, I know this guy. He should come live with us. Cool, let's do it. Whatever. Anyway, turned out to be a horrible roommate. I kicked him out, got rid of him because I just couldn't stand him. He was stealing our money. Really awful situation. But I remember right after I kicked him out, about a week later, I got a knock on the door and there was this kid that was just fully tattooed, like tough bastard looking guy. And he goes, is this dude here? And I said, no. And he goes, are you lying to me? And I said, no, man, I kicked him out. He was terrible. I don't care where this kid's at. And he pulled out a gun and pointed it at me and he said, I need you to tell me where this kid is. And I said, believe me, dude, if I knew where he was, I would send you happily on the way, but I have no idea. And he just said, okay, I think he believed me. And he put the gun away and walked away. Shit. So that happened twice with the same kid.
Wow.
2 kids from Richmond showed up with guns at my house looking for him at the front door. I hadn't thought about that until we were talking about guns.
Wow.
But it was pointed at me. That was the first time I think the only time, those 2 times.
Oh my gosh.
Where I had guns pointed at me. Yeah. So I can imagine, and I was right around the age you were.
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s, maybe 20. And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Just sitting there going, oh shit, that's a gun.
That's a gun, yeah.
And it's just there for whatever this crazy person who's holding it and putting it, that feels the need to say, count your money.
Yeah. And he could have put it there because like he was running a nightclub. I mean, that's not an excuse to like have a gun to run a nightclub.
Sure.
Yet I feel like maybe it wasn't directly like, hey, lady, count your money. But yeah, still terrifying.
I'm sure he had some sketchy shit happen.
Definitely.
At that nightclub.
It was
it's
definitely
Vegas,
sketchy.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Nice and sketchy.
Completely sketchy.
Yes, I would imagine. That is a crazy life. All right, so we'll switch gears a little bit. Tell me a story of hope.
Tell you a story of hope. Well, I know I've been like tearing up a lot lately over kids, like thinking about their future and the world they're left to, even though like I still feel like a kid. It's kind of shocking I'm not, but I am in mental space but not in body. I think the kids of today, my mind's going to last week. We watched a little Zoom with this lady she was a girl, she's like young 20s, from the nonprofit Earth Guardians, right?
Yeah.
And we did, my dear friend Jessica Ronker invited us to like an art hang to learn about Earth Guardians and then just do art for like 45 minutes to a playlist this girl created. Yeah. But the way that she was speaking and her passion about Earth Guardians at the beginning, and that she was like, I'm leading a Zoom to hang out, and she was amazing how she conducted herself, and she was so put together and talking about the organization.
Yeah.
And then she set us off to do art, and she had this beautifully curated playlist, and in the end she's like, would anyone like to share? Yes. And so they were all age ranges, right? Like we were there and Jessica was there. And then there was, so we're like 30s and 40s. And then there was one sweet girl, Lily, who was laying on her floor somewhere in the world. And I don't know what she was, 11, 10.
Something
and
like
she's
that,
like,
yeah.
I will go. I would love to show you what I drew in pencil. And she like gets all up close to the camera and puts her thing in there. And it wasn't hopeful because it was very gloom and doom. Like she had envisioned this world where unless we make changes, she said that all the trees were gone and we were going to be living in bubbles, buying air because all the trees were gone. But just to know, what did give me hope was to just know that this girl in her 20s was leading us, and this other girl in her preteens, 10 or 11 or so, was thinking of these things as morbid and as horrible as it is, but that she was already thinking, like she was thinking about how to make the world better. She was thinking about how this is going to have an effect on her family, everyone around her.
Yeah, her friends.
Friends, like so.
Everyone her age range.
Yeah, so to see what gave me hope out of that was seeing these young women thinking outside of themselves. Yeah. For the greater good of the world, much like people in Asian countries are right now they wear masks and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And it isn't about freedom. If you're wearing a mask, it's about that you care for the person next to you. Even if you have a cold, you go out with a mask on so that you don't give your cold to anybody else. Yeah. It's a sign of respect for other people who are graced to be on this earth at the same time that you are. Yeah. So those two ladies, gave me hope.
Yeah, she was really amazing. The host. I think the only time she broke this incredibly professional, motivating speaker type, well put together. I mean, I don't think I've ever given a talk that profound. Yeah. And this was a 10-minute intro session on Zoom to 9 of us. Yeah, it was awesome. The only time she broke was her neighbor's dog puppy was barking. And then I was like, oh yeah, she's in early 20s. Like, oh, there's a puppy upstairs. But then right back into it.
Right back into her, like so not even professional, just like eloquently put together.
Yeah, it was really neat. And it was one of those things with Lily that I never had those thoughts.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And I give a shit about the world. I really want people to take better care and just actually care about what we do to this planet, because if it goes, we can't be here. But to know someone who's a third of my age at least is thinking about a future for her and her friends, not even necessarily you and I. No, I mean, we're part of that equation because we're here, but in 30 years, who knows, but for her to think in her lifetime, her and her friends and everybody else on the planet having to buy air. Yeah. I never had that thought. Right. But then I was thinking, man, it's not that far-fetched. No. The way it's headed.
How quickly,
Yeah. So that was a really cool session. I'm glad Jess told us about that. Too. That was really neat. Just to listen to music and draw and then hear people's stories. It was really helpful to, I don't have interaction with teenagers or younger. Right. I mean, Woodson was 3 next door, so I see like young kids and he gives me hope too.
Yeah, like your cousins.
Playing music. Noah, Ella, yes, they give me massive hope for this world.
But outside of that, we don't have a lot of...
Right. Outside of that, I don't have much interaction. And especially in that format, I had never attended anything that was about climate and the environment and this planet. And to hear someone that young thinking that profoundly into how we have to take care of this, or literally... Think about when you go to a gas station and you see the air pump and it's 25 cents and you're like, What the hell?
Yeah.
25 cents for air?
Right.
That's just for your tires.
Yeah.
Think about if you had to open a bubble, which is what she had drawn, to buy air so that you can keep breathing.
Yeah.
And your house and everything is inside this bubble. This is what an 11-year-old is thinking about in this world right now. That's crazy that has to be something.
Sounds like opposite of hopeful, but that there are people out there who really deeply want to make the world a better place.
I think that's very hopeful.
Well, that is the hopeful part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
That people are thinking about that.
Yeah.
Those young kids got us. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to... Just tell me a story of life.
Tell you a story of life. Oh, heavens. Oh, man. All right. When I was in 8th grade, there was a lady, and I kicked myself because I can't remember her name. I could look it up, but she was she was the first woman to fly solo into my hometown's airport. I believe that was. So she wanted to pass the gift of flight, or passionate, about air travel, on to someone in the school. She'd never done it before. And they picked they said 8th grade. And it was presented to the 8th grade class, to a woman, to apply. And this amazing woman would send you to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama for a week in 8th grade. And I was like, this is it. I'm in. I'm going to be an astronaut. Like, no questions.
Going to space.
Not even thinking that I couldn't complete a math test without my teacher sitting next to me all of middle school. I was in. I was going to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
So I applied. You had to write an essay. One of my friends at the time, I think it might have been Anne, wrote an essay that said, Lindsey should win. And one other lady wrote, because her mom told her to, and she was like, ugh. Well, I didn't know that at the time, which was great odds for me, right? So I won. And it was, so it got, oh, okay, Lindsey, but you won. And so I was like, holy shit, I beat out everybody. And they're like, well, you didn't. I mean, there was 2 other entries. And one said that you should get it. And one was like, a friend begrudgingly being like, my mom told me to do this. I don't really care. So
I
whatever.
Don't go to space. Who cares?
So I won, and I got to go to her house. And I remember we talked about, going, and my passion for space travel. And she sent me to Huntsville, Alabama. And it was remarkable. Like, so many things happened in 8th grade. Like, it was my first real interaction with minorities, other children.
Wow.
Like, my school, it was a lot of white and a beautiful Hispanic population.
Okay.
So, for the most part. Overarchingly. There were a few other beautiful minorities, but it was pretty white.
Yeah.
So I remember on the plane, there was a girl sitting next to me, and I remember her name was Shania Ruff because she had gold earrings that said Shania Ruff. And she was so scared, and I think she's from the South somewhere. And she was so scared, and our plane was jumping around, and we held hands. And then, so I hung out with her, but then when we got to space camp, we all broke into our teams, and I was Team Galileo, and Zane Bennett was in my group, and that was the first time that I was like, oh my God, boys. Not the first time, but it was like, whoa, boys.
Yeah.
There's something here.
Yeah.
And he was on my team, and we just had our whole goal for the week was to plan a flight mission. Like, we learned all the different positions, and then at the end of the week, we went into space, air quotes. Yeah. But we were in like a mock shuttle, and then we had these big binders and all these notes and how we took off and landed, and we had to, did all the drills, and there's no way to make you like zero gravity, so there wasn't that, of course, but unprofessionally. But just this whole week building up to this shuttle launch. Oh man, it ruled.
Sounds amazing.
I just loved it. And it was just the time I like, getting out. First trip, maybe like without my family of like, I'm going to do something and I'm an 8th grader and I'm going to space camp.
First time in the South.
First time in the South. I don't even know if that hit me of like, because it just was like, get off the plane, go right to space camp.
Yeah. Where did you fly into?
I have no idea. That is a big question. Yeah, Huntsville. I don't know if there was a
Birmingham, probably. Or here, maybe.
Right. I'm pretty, we may have taken a bus or something. I just remember little bits and bobs of it, like what my room looked like. But I think I stayed in a different room and then we switched rooms and, but just, it was neat. And I stayed in touch with a few of the people for like a while. Zane Bennett definitely for a long time. Years. I think through high school, we were like buddies.
Where was Zane from?
Oregon.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. But how we all got there and we were like in space camp. It ruled. Yeah. And that sweet woman in my hometown, I am sorry I let you down. But thank you for sending me to space camp because it was awesome.
Live your thoughts.
I live in space.
In space.
So
she put you in space.
I never come down to reality.
She put you in a good dream space.
Yes.
Because you are a beautiful dreamer. Yes. So at least there's that. So she inspired that. So I wouldn't say you failed her in any way.
It didn't take flight in the ways that she thought I would.
Right. In other ways. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I remember. I'm just smiling like a nerd because I just remember it was right before my 30th birthday, so 5 years ago. I was out on tour with Bush, and thankfully sometimes I get to hang out with cool people and they get invited to do cool things. Mm-hmm. So we were in Houston, and I remember I was heavily drinking at this point, so I wasn't like excited to go to NASA
in the morning.
Oh God, no, not in the morning for sure. But we got invited to do, I always say a backstage tour just because it's so prominent in my mind. But we got to go and see the buoyancy pool and where the astronauts practice their spacewalks, and it's the biggest pool in this country. It's so massive, and you're just standing there, and there's a whole world down there that's just the model space station. Cool. So these people dive and go down there. And I remember getting in there, and every single one of us, from band to crew, every single one of us were just nerding out. Yeah. And I didn't know how cool that I didn't know that it was going to be that cool.
I had that effect on you.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Because I think every kid saw something back in the day.
Well, there's also that movie of Space Camp movie.
But just the thought of going to space as a
definitely.
Kid, like how cool, like E.T.
I was just gonna say E.T.
E.T. Man, so cool, like full dome.
Yeah.
But man, it was so cool, and I remember at the end of it, this woman astronaut was there, and she had just gotten back. This was her first day back to NASA, because when you come down from space, you have to take time to get reacquainted with
life on Earth. Wow, yeah.
To be able to say that would be so rad.
Yeah.
But she was just there, and you basically have to just restart. Yep. You're not demoted, but they just have you do tours and talk to people, so you just kind of like get back to normal life. And I don't take photos with many people, but I remember after her speech, and we were in the control room where they said, "Houston, we have a problem." So I got a photo there, and I remember she was just walking around kind of mingling, and I walked up and I just said, "Can I get a photo with you?" And she said, "Why would you want a photo with me?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Look who you're hanging out with." And I said, "Those nerds, they play guitar, they sing. Anybody can do that. You were in space 2 weeks ago." Yeah. That's you so were way good. Up there. Like you were up there.
Yeah.
Within this month.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I mean, that space camp would have been so cool to go to as a kid. And I remember seeing pamphlets and stuff. So I can imagine just like mesmerized by space, and like I hadn't thought about it since I was a kid, and then 30-year-old Nik was like beaming ear to ear.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I still have my big shuttle launch book I found it in, because I do have a problem with keeping a lot of stuff.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And you didn't know that. But see, I have my Rubbermaid of kids' books, and I look through it, whatever that was, maybe last year, and I found it, and I was like, I don't know if I can throw this away yet.
I wouldn't.
Because it's just
That's
like,
amazing.
it's a big binder of like, you're going to space. So anyway.
That's so neat. I love that. I love that. All right. So let's go to what did / do you miss the most during COVID?
Oh. There's a lot of things. Wait, what do I miss?
Yeah. What did.
Do. We're currently
still in
thick
it.
of it.
Very,
It's
very
November,
bad.
the end of November, and we are in the thick of it still. There's a lot of things that I've pivoted and I realize I don't miss, which is odd. But you said, what do I miss? I miss the excitement that you and I share, like going to new restaurants. And we've done that on our van travels. It was just getting takeout and taking it to a park.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't presented how the chef would have liked, or it was a little bit colder than we would have liked, or they would have liked it to be.
Yeah. And some nerves on top of.
Yeah, what are we eating? I miss maybe the simplicity. I miss not thinking that every person I walk by, either I could kill them or they could kill me.
Yeah.
Or cause mass harm or affect their grandmother. Or
Right.
I miss not looking at people like they are a virus.
Yes.
I want to see them as their souls and their beauty, and not just see them as harmful or something I can't embrace or talk to or spend time with and be close with. I mean, we had some beautiful encounters on our trip, and I'm so grateful that we did, masked up, because we did go into Jean's house in North Dakota, South Dakota? North Dakota.
Yeah, Castleton.
And thinking like, oh man, I want to spend time with this person and get their life story, but I don't want to bring them harm because we've been traveling.
Right.
So just being like, we're going to be masked the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
So I miss the way that we used to be able to simply be with others.
Yeah. And then, I fully agree with that. I think I'd rather not look at people or be not paying attention that much and see a person, and it's almost as if I saw a snake. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, right.
I gotta get it to the other side of the road. I gotta,
walk
it's just that jumpy effect of, I just don't, I don't want to put anything on them, you know? So to go on with, what did you find that you didn't, or where you were going with before?
Oh, what I don't miss?
What you don't
Because you said,
miss.
what do I miss? What I don't miss? On a surface level, like, I miss going to restaurants, and then I don't miss going to restaurants. At the same time, like, you and I have been cooking such beautiful food, and that's been a gift. Life has slowed down a lot, and I don't miss the hurried pace.
Mm-hmm.
To try to, I'm like getting myself back in a mindset of, well, we gotta pay the mortgage. So like we have to find some work, yet I'm finding that so trivial when so many people are losing their lives to this, that balance of life, I guess right now, that everyone is experiencing and everyone is feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm not missing how, air quote, busy I used to feel with going to the coffee shop all day and sitting there, and I liked just time spent with people.
Yeah.
Yet a lot of times it was like, between tours, cram it all in and cram all this space in, and I don't miss the busy pace of life.
I can understand that. It is crazy pace, especially on tours, and
sure,
just life in general gets going so fast.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. I think the slowdown, I think a lot of people didn't know they needed it this much. And maybe haven't embraced that they needed it, or embraced it for a second, and then now are going back into a need.
Because that is what
fulfillment.
I don't believe that the U.S. has a culture, but maybe that is our culture. You work until you die, and you run, and you pass, and you don't know if the sun is up or sun is down, and you're just racing to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so this moment of, I want to take intentional breath through these moments.
Yeah. It just put me in mind of the first time I ever got to New York City, which is a place where I would say there is culture. But I remember that was one thing, I traveled a little bit, but the first time I ever went to New York City was on tour, and I was 22. And I remember getting there and just how fast everybody moved. And now going there so much, and I lived there, and I don't feel super rushed when I'm there, because you can we did a 17-hour day there, and we took our time and we slow rolled. But I do remember as a 22-year-old kid just thinking, oh my God, wow. Even in the Dwayne Reeds, they flying in and boom,
grab stuff,
gotta go. I got 3 seconds to do this, and I'm 10 minutes late, but I'm 40 minutes early. Just this weird run. So yeah, I can totally relate to just the slow life, like our snails tell us.
Yes.
All right. What brings you the most joy or smile the most?
Oh man, lately, within the past 2 weeks, I've been getting very emotional when my uncle sends me videos of my cousins in Japan. My aunt, uncle, and 2 cousins have just moved to Japan, and they are just thriving. And so I get little videos, or my uncle says, like, my cousin had 5 new friends, and they wanted to walk her to school, and she wants to walk herself to school. She's 7. And that brings me so much joy. I think just kid videos in general. Whenever Karen or Bill send me videos of Ellis and Iris, my surrogate nieces,
those two.
I just cry. I just am like a puddle. I'm just like, look at these kids. These kids are amazing. And I'm like, and I am their crazy Aunt Lindsey. And like, it just, so I think what brings me the most joy is seeing the simple joys in others.
Yeah. And those videos are all just incredible.
And then also videos of rescued dogs, especially pit bulls.
Oh man, the dodo.
The dodo. Oh, the dodo.
You watch those and just cry.
A lot of time to you. Yeah, that brings me a lot of joy. I also just love sitting with my plants. But anyway, there's a lot of things that bring me joy.
Yes. So.
All
right, let's see. What is your most prized possession?
My heart.
I like that. I love your heart.
Thank you very much. And then if I have to have a thing, I know you were something I wear every day. My grandma Bev has a, because I have it now, a turquoise bracelet and a ring that I wear every day. So if I have to have a possession that is classified in this culture as a possession, or in this world as a possession, that would be, I think, something that I just, have with me every day. But otherwise, my heart, because it allows me to feel.
Yeah. Like I said, you have a beautiful heart.
Thank you.
Let's go into... I skipped over one that I really like, and I'll put it in here. What would you want the world to know about you?
What would I want the world to know about me? That I am very happy and joyful, yet I also feel great sadness. I think a lot of people, or have had in the past, where people say, like, well, you're always so happy, like everything's fine, and maybe they feel like they don't need to check in because I'm always so happy. That's the outer that I put out to the world, because I am very joyful. I do feel this life is a gift and I want to bring joy, but there are times where I'm just sad, especially this year, and I will just sit there and cry. And so I'd want the world to know that as much, I think my highs are a lot higher than my lows are low, but that even, you know, there is something you put out to the world. It's not a fake face that I put to the world, but, you know, the range of emotions is there. So I want the world to know, like, as I am very filled with joy at most times, but I do feel great sadness as well.
Yeah.
With the ways of the world, or just a heaviness of living, of life.
Yeah.
Or is it, you know, rescue dog videos?
Yeah, and I think that is one thing that does get lost when you present yourself as a very joyful, always smiling. Because I mean, one of the first impressions I had of you was how funny and how just zipping around and like smiling, laughing, just hugging everybody. Like that was one of the first things that I remember watching from my merch stand. You were just zipping around, or like you lost your phone.
Lost my phone for the eighth time, and I couldn't figure out which dressing room I left.
But still, you were joking around with Martha and Lindsay
Angel.
and
yes, all of
you
them.
know, like you were just laughing, and I felt this joy from you before I even knew you. That was even before. That was in Chicago,
right
before we even hung out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can totally see when you just, most people that I know would say, oh, Lindsay's just happy all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think it's not, I know you very well, and I know you are a very happy person, but I know you have those feels, and I know outwardly, I think people just see you as that. So, you know, it does put a different spin on it when it's like, I am very happy, but I do have all these feelings. And I have all these feelings.
Because I am human and I feel greatly.
Yeah. All right. I'm kind of going off a different order here, but go to this one. Tell me a story of struggle.
Story of struggle. I have lived a very blessed life. Or, if we want to say not blessed, fortunate, fucking awesome. I've always felt like my grandma Bev is looking down and she's like, not that I'm like a puppet for her, but she's like, I got you, kid. I feel like she struggled a lot in life, and just like, no, you're not going to struggle like I did. Not on my watch. So I've always felt like she's looking out.
Yeah.
So I haven't had deep struggles. Not that things come easy to me by any means. I have struggled with, I guess, really a story of struggles still, you know, rolling into the back half of my 39th year of figuring out who I am. Mm-hmm. Not what I identify with as a job. Like, I'm not Lindsay who tours. That's one side of what I do to make money and feel joy. Like, struggling to find my light bulb, I think. Is it teaching English as a foreign language to children? Or is it, do I write poetry, or do I rewrite? I play my ukulele. Like, I have so many things that pull at me, but really just like who, when I sit with it, like, who am I? I feel the most like me when I'm just sitting with my plants. Yeah. Those dang plants get me. But So I guess the story of struggle is still just like looking for my light bulb.
Yeah.
Wondering if it ever is it going to turn on?
Right. Is the switch working?
Or, it might be one of those 3-phase ones. Like I'm at, ding, 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 ding. So like I'm on the, ding, maybe ding, since I'm almost 40. And maybe now it's like, ding, I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
And it's on the brightest one before I go dark. Oh, maybe. Oh, God. Okay.
Maybe that's the way it works.
Maybe that's the way it works.
And the person that did the click, click, click was way smarter than we thought, turning on the light bulb. Because after that third click where it's really bright.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that bright light bulb.
But we're not going to talk about the dark one.
No, because that's going to be a long time off.
Yeah, we're not going to think about that. Yeah. You're never going to die.
In your heart.
Number 24 in your programs, number 1 in your heart, Lindsey Bathke. All right, so on that note, what brought you to where you are in life today?
A very supportive family. And it's a very supportive family when being an only child, and I know my mom for sure wanted to give me we just talked about this the other day, give me every opportunity that she wasn't allowed. If it was I want to try sewing, fail. I want to learn French, fail. I might have failed, piano, fail. Giving me these opportunities, which it was always whatever you want to try. I think I'm going to move to LA. Yep, whatever you want to do. Dad, we'll pack it up in the U-Haul and we'll head to LA. Drop you off at a super sketchy house with some people you met on Craigslist. Sounds great to us. You want to head out with some rep to do it. Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, perfect.
So very supportive family, and just think what brought me here, where I've been, is just my wanting to live, to see and experience everything that in a different way than what our society maybe tells us how we should be living. So what brought me here today, I wanted to say something smart ass like my feet. I gotta walk over here and sit down.
There's one that you haven't read yet of this, and
is it with my feet?
No, someone said I think it was a 2003 Honda Accord.
Yeah, I had a 2003 Jetta, but
so it wouldn't be the first one to answer
Honda originally. No. Yeah,
Surge
I think what brought me here.
Okay.
He did. He brought us back here.
Yes.
He did. Just what brought me here is my passion, or my wanting to live, and to really live. I don't know what's beyond this, and I want to experience everything I can here and not feel like I've wasted a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like that. So how has your life been different than you thought it would be?
Oh, heavens, Betsy. When I was a teenager, I would get home, or if we had a day off of school, and I knew the entire, I don't know now, but just flow with me. Jenny Jones was on at 10 a.m. Ricky Lake was at 11. Jenny Jones might have been at noon. I'm sorry.
Better get this right.
Yeah. And then, so Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer, when all the talk shows were, and because I loved those talk shows, and those were not my role models, but I saw people's lives in them. Jerry. I saw Pete Montel. I saw people's lives in them. I thought 22 I'd be married, 24, or maybe 24 I'd be married, 26 I'd have my first child.
Okay.
And I just thought, and then I don't think I had a job in mind besides when I was young riding Shamu at SeaWorld. but I didn't know what I was gonna, do. And then, of course, backup dance for Janet Jackson.
Space.
Go to space.
Yeah.
And so I really had in my mind, like, that's what you do. I would be married, meet someone at 22. I don't know what the 2-year thing was. Like, be married at 24, have a kid at 26, and then I couldn't see beyond that.
Right.
Man, I definitely didn't think I would be. I never pictured myself at a 9-to-5 or a job that was structured, because I'm not very structured in anything. I do, but I couldn't picture like what. I definitely didn't picture this.
Yeah.
Any of it. So I think. I don't really know what I thought I'd be doing, but I definitely thought 24 and 26, like, you have to get married and you have a kid.
Yeah.
And so, thank you to the talk shows of the 90s that told me that's what I was supposed to be doing. I don't know if that really did, but, yeah, I also think I thought it would be easier to have a light bulb and be like, yep, that is my passion. That's what I go to. Because you see some people at such a young age just know exactly what I want to be doing. Maybe they do. Maybe it's a front. And figure something out. And I'm still figuring the, air quoted, it out.
Yeah.
And I know I'll never have it figured out. I've rested with that because if I'm always changing, so will it change. Yet, yeah, maybe I thought that I would figure it out and have a kid and be married in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And who knows where I would be now. So,
right.
What would we want?
I would be stuck in Ashland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of those where my mom would always be, she'd ask, what are you going to do if you ever have to get a real job? And I said, well, I have a real job.
My mom always said
different.
Yeah, my mom said, "Do they pay you real money? Then it's a real job."
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's a real
thanks.
job. Yeah, I thought I came to that realization too, where I was like, no, I get paid.
So this is real.
So it's real. But then she said, no, like, what are you gonna have to do if you ever, or what would you do if you ever had to get a office job? And I simply said, I just would never. I couldn't.
Yeah,
just wouldn't fit.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, and there's nothing wrong with us having to do that at some time. Yet, we are. I want to travel too much. Yeah. We're very fortunate to Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. What is your biggest fear?
Yeah, definitely. If it's on this earthly plane we're on right now, it's losing you or my parents before me. I think that, that's the only thing that makes me get panic about life. Is that otherwise, with other going on flights or going to different countries, I've always felt that Grandma Bev's there, and I'm like, you got me, Bev.
Yeah.
Carly and I are gonna take off into Oman and drive around and sleep in our car, right? You got us, Bev.
Bev, take care.
You know, let your granddaughters just drive around a Muslim country and sleep in their car, their tiny car.
Yep.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, no, I think that's it.
All right. So what is your biggest regret?
Don't love to think about things I regret. I don't ever want to live with regrets or I'm going to say probably that, things I did when I was drunk and blacked out.
Yeah.
That I don't remember, but I've heard about, or, things I did and it's like, oh, that is terrible.
Yeah. I know a lot about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have those moments that you don't remember.
Yeah.
But then it really sucks because so many people do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand that one. What is your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment is I would say like staying true to what I want in life. I don't know what I want in life, like my light bulb, but what I do know is I want to travel and not feel like I have to stay in one place. So I think my biggest accomplishment is keeping in line with that vision of finding every way I can to get out on the road, whatever iteration that takes of being on the road, if it's on a plane, moving around, traveling, meeting other people, being other people's stories, trying other food, experiencing other cultures with my white lens, but trying to,
Yeah.
but experiencing as much as I can. So I think that's my biggest accomplishment, is trying to stick with that big framework to work within.
Yeah. And this one, it's a funny one for this time of, it's, what do you do for work and why?
What do I do for work and why?
It is a funny one at this point in time.
Yeah, at this moment. And if it's work that is paying me money, that work is, I'm working part-time at a seasonal help at the Sweet Shop Welcome Home I worked at when I first moved to Nashville. And we're also doing moderation for a company that's doing concerts and like meet and greets with people. So to see people's excitement and joy has been really fulfilling, because as much as I just love doing meet and greets on the road. I would cry, I would get all emotional, I get nervous, and I so enjoyed it. What do I do for work? Work that doesn't pay me is working on myself every day, working on finding my light bulb or letting my light bulb turn on. And I do that because I want to keep traveling and experiencing everything I can in this life.
Yeah, it has been one of those years that we've never had before, where everything shifted.
Yeah.
And we didn't do a lot of work, which was wonderful. We did our own tour. But yeah, it is nice to do some of these moderating sessions. Yeah. Very, very brand new at these. Yeah. But it's been super cool to get that sense of feeling, just seeing the joy in people that music brings to them, because I know music saved my life and it saves so many people's lives. And that's one thing I've always appreciated touring and doing these meet and greets and any of these VIP events, is just seeing the joy that these people have. And I wouldn't necessarily pay for it, but I completely understand being thoroughly obsessed with that person, because I know when I was in 6th grade and I found a certain type of music that I loved, and I found a band that I can sing every single word to their song, and then now I listen to it or I meet that person, the lead singer, and man, it's crazy when you think back or you just hear that person's voice and you know that 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that the hardest times in those moments, that voice got you through it. That person's lyrics. I completely understand that. And it's so cool to get a little glimpse back into that, because we haven't had that in a long time. And I think that just goes with you and I loving people. You know, like, we just love hearing people's stories, seeing the emotion that they get. And it's the beauty in life of just seeing how thrilled these people are. So it's nice to have a little bit of that come back in. So in another life, what are you doing?
I think in another life, I would be a mother to one child, and I would be a doula to help other women in their birthing process, or their birth experience, which I still really want to do. I would love to be in the room with a friend giving birth as they give birth, or I give birth, but when they give birth, to learn, like, to see the whole process in person. I've watched a lot of video, or, you know, not a lot, a good amount of videos, but I think maybe I would be a mother to one, definitely only one child, but then I don't know, a birth child, a doula, but I don't know if I would be a doula someplace that needed doulaing.
Doulaing. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't be in this country. Oh, and in another life, I would be fluent in a lot of languages. So I could doula all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an easy segue to one that I didn't have written down, but we talk about this all the time. If you had a superpower, what would that superpower be?
Languages.
Yeah.
I would just want to speak all the languages. And just, I won't even be like overindulgent with it. I would just want to have enough to, you know, casually engage with people, even at like a 4th grade level.
Right.
All over the world.
Yeah.
If I could just go to every country, I know a lot of countries speak the same language, but if I could go to every country and sink in and honor and respect them by using their language and not, you know, having them bend to my language to spend time together, to learn about each other, I think that would be a real gift. That would be my superpower, to be able to communicate with the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those times where you're in another country and someone happened to me where I was in a pizza shop in Denmark at 10 o'clock at night, and this wasn't a village that stayed open very late, and I was made to feel the smallest I've ever felt, because I was trying to get a cheese pizza, and he acted like he didn't understand, and then I pointed at it and he still acted like he didn't understand. And in that moment, I had no way to communicate with this man because he didn't know my language, and there was no way in hell I knew his language, and I just didn't know what to do. It was one super awkward moment, and then I turned to leave because what else do you do when you can't communicate? And I turned my back, and this man started the biggest belly laugh I've heard, and he said, "I'm fucking with you. What do you want? You want cheese pizza? I got a cheese pizza." And then we ended up talking, and where are you from? And I said, "I'm from Ohio." And he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I work with a friend." But he couldn't get over the fact that I was in Faricia from the States, and he just had to fuck with me because it was that moment. But yeah, to be able to just walk in and speak Danish to him and say,
"Could I please have a
boom.
cheese pizza?" Yeah.
It would be the best.
Yeah.
It just reminds me also of the man that we met in the Arctic Circle in Norway, who this man, I wish all of you could meet him. He has a restaurant in northern Norway, and every single person in the door, he would guess at what language he thought they spoke. And then whenever they responded to him, he would meet them where they were at, and he would speak all their languages. And I think
What did he say, 11?
I was going to say 11 or 12, something.
Yeah, because then his daughter, who was 9, maybe did 7 languages.
It was one of those either flip-flopped. She was either 7 and spoke 9 languages, or 9 and spoke 7. Either which way.
She spoke the local native language, Sampi, there, so she could help the native students in class when her teacher didn't know words for that. Oh my goodness gracious, that gives me hope. Yeah, but how beautiful that he could speak with everybody that came in that door. No matter what, if it was Thai, Chinese, whatever, Arabic, like he knew everything. It was amazing.
It reminds me, I was in Turkey as well, and there was a man selling balloon tours in the Turkish countryside, which sounds pretty incredible. I wish I could have taken one, but he did the same. He would speak to them in Turkish, and they would see him and say, no, I don't no, I don't speak it.
However they responded.
Yeah, then he'd go, oh, English, okay, and instantly would change. And I talked to that man when he had a second, and he spoke 15 languages, and so he said he could communicate with anyone in the world.
Golly,
there was no way. And I said, man, you could walk into any place and get any job, and your most valuable asset is send me anywhere and I can say hello to everyone and speak with them. But so I think that,
what a gift. That is a superpower.
Gosh, that would be so neat. All right, what was your first tattoo?
Oh gosh, I was in it was in Boulder when I was in college, and I found a tattoo shop that was all nurse practitioners, like nurses that had turned to tattooing. So it was very, well kept, beautiful, and the lady had just started tattooing, so she was practicing on a grapefruit, and I was like, I'll be here, one of your first clients. Yeah. So I got a ladybug. I loved ladybugs on my back with the Cancer astrological symbol on the back of the ladybug, and then to make it even better, of the late 90s, she put like a sun around it because it was kind of small, and so she's like, I'll put sun rays around it, and I forget I have it because obviously it's on my lower back where every late 1990s, early 2000s first tattoo was. And but the color's totally faded. It's not red anymore. But it was so lovely just, being with all women, tattooing. And I know we took a picture. I think I did a thumbs up in my picture. But yeah, when I walked in, she was practicing on a grapefruit. And I was like, yeah, I'm next. Like,
count me in.
Get me in there.
Yeah, let's go.
I didn't care. I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mine was similar. I was working with a band, and the lead singer was heavily tattooed, so we always had tattoo artists come in and say, yo, we want to tattoo you. And he was so picky, which everyone, if you don't have a tattoo, be picky. Get good tattoos. It's not a bad thing. So he would say, sorry, I don't have time. But us, the crew, we had a guy come in and say, free tattoos if you want them. And we said, rad, let's go. And we were in Southern Florida after a show. And yeah, it was just one of those moments where I was like, I've never gotten a tattoo, so let's do this shit, man. I'm ready. And I got the state of Ohio. I mean, I think that was a pretty typical tattoo for touring dudes.
My home state, man.
Yeah, home state. I love
put it
Ohio.
On my leg with the flag.
Yeah, with the flag that I wanted him to put, the Ohio flag, and then did not check it, and now I have the American flag on my leg.
The U.S. flag.
Yeah, the U.S. flag. And so for the last 4 years, I've wanted to cover it because it's turned into what it has.
We're taking it back.
We're taking back the flag. So
make it beautiful again.
Yeah, maybe I'll start waving my leg around.
Wave your leg around, please.
Just waving it around.
Get that leg waving. Get that leg waving.
All right, we are almost done.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for having me as your first guest.
Yeah, this has been
podcast
super fun.
version.
This has been super fun. These are two good ones. I know one of them you love to ask, and that's why I put it on My Beautifully Human.
I know it's coming.
We have heard such a good array of answers and reasons for this question, and if you're just listening, think through this one and ask people, because it's a really telling when it gets answered, and it's fun to think about. So if I walked in the door right now, non-COVID, travel wherever you want to go, no restrictions, I hand you a plane ticket. Mm-hmm. Where are you going?
First thought is to Japan, because I want to see my cousins walk to school and be filled with joy and just the stories I'm hearing of them. My cousin Mizu, I love her sense of style. And every time we get pictures, I'm like, oh, she nailed it today with that outfit. And I really look up to her style. And then, I want to see them running to school and doing all their things. And I also just want to be in Japan.
Yeah.
I want to learn. We were on our road trip, we stopped in Portland and we spent time with them before they left.
Yeah,
and
that was super cool.
Yeah, we got a Japanese character book out of for a little free little library, and Mizu was helping us. She went through the whole book teaching us how to properly draw and how to say the character sushi, going through. And it was so, and then she did some story times for us. But I think I just would love to sink in there. I also love traveling and feeling completely lost, i.e. I don't speak much Japanese, meaning at all, or besides two words. And I love that feeling utterly lost somewhere. So I would choose Japan at this moment to be utterly lost in, and then smile watching my cousins. I'd probably hide behind a tree so they wouldn't see me and be like, oh, look, they're walking with their friends.
You would be crying too.
I would be crying so much. And then to see a little Kai just going to school and feeding the goats, I would.
Yeah, there's no way you would be sly enough and be able to not just run and give them massive hugs.
Yeah.
I think on that, it was really cool just to go along with that, was being able to give you a gift of a flight to somewhere where you had no idea where we were going.
Oh,
that was super fun for me.
Yeah.
That was super amazing. Even when we got to Oslo and we were in the airport, and it was the equivalent of going to any airport in the States and walking down to fly to, say, Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, a small
It's
flight.
one of those, you're down on gate D-143, and you see Springfield, Missouri, and Butte, Montana.
It's Butte, but yeah.
Butte.
Yeah.
But you laugh because because you think it says Butte. And we got to that part, and I knew where we were going because I had extensively looked at this.
And this is our
map.
trip we took this time last year.
Yeah, this time last year we were getting ready for. And so I was able to plan a trip. We flew to Paris and then went to Germany, and then I planned the rest of it. But it was really amazing. I highly recommend doing this if you have the opportunity to someone that you love. Just being able to surprise them with such a cool gift. We ended up flying to a town in Norway called Kirkenes.
And I saw it on the ticker board, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what a Kirkenes was.
Yeah, if she would have come in and been like, "We're going to Kirkenes, holy shit, that's amazing," I would have known she just thought it was going to be amazing. But had she truly known, I'd be massively surprised. I think even friends of mine from Norway I'd be surprised if they knew where Kirkenes was, unless they'd looked into going to the Arctic Circle. And I think one of the most special moments, because you still really didn't know what was going on as we were flying, because we were in Norway flying to Kirkenes. You didn't know what country that was.
Right, yeah.
Anything. So we land, and it was a tiny little airport, which we got to know very well a week later. Thanks to my poor planning one day. But
I just read the times wrong. 8 hours.
It gave us plenty of time to plan, which we needed, and it turned out to be wonderful. But it was really cool. We parked, and it was snowy and dark, and we walked down the steps, and we're walking in the snow up to the airport, and you looked at me, and I looked at you, and I said, "Welcome to the Arctic Circle."
I lost in my little brain, couldn't comprehend. I was like, what does that mean? Where are we? I just pictured us at the top of the world. And I was like, I just lost it. I just stood there on the steps crying, and I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah, it's one of those where I think people hear the Arctic Circle, and it is just this Santa lives up there. And when you get there, it's like, oh, damn, we're up here. So that was really cool. That was really cool for me to be able to to show you that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd never been there either. So
Right.
it was like a massive, I'd wanted to do that my whole life.
Yeah.
So that was one of my top of my dreams of travel was to go to the Arctic Circle.
It was so fun for me. I mean, all of it was really fun, but like the not knowing, just being like, I know we're going someplace lovely. I don't need to know. Like, I'm going to have the same backpack I needed for the stuff we had in Paris or Germany. You know, it was like, you're like, bring warm clothes. Cool. Got it. It's winter anyway.
Yeah.
But it was just like, I don't need to know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to prepare. I don't prepare for trips anyway, really. I don't read guidebooks a lot. I do for pointers and certain things, but I don't like mull over them. I'm reading a book right now where the ladies are like, every time they get somewhere, they're like with their guidebooks reading, and it's like, nope. When I get there, I'm like, bing, boom, boom, like, turn left, yep, so sure.
Yep.
Turn right, no, okay, yep, got it. So
There's a wall, turn around.
Yeah, so that was really neat to be able to, and you know, I don't have a hard time letting go and being like, yeah, I don't need to know. Don't tell me. Don't anyone tell me. I'm fine. I don't know. So
yeah. That easily transfers me into this one. What is your favorite travel moment, or a favorite travel moment?
Gosh, I've had some really lovely travel moments. There's been some, yeah, I've had some really lovely, like, laughing travel moments with my cousin Carly when I go to visit her. She is in Thailand now, and she was in China before. Oh man, China. And then Dubai before that. So I just know times, like when we were in Dubai, like I mentioned, sleeping in her car and being like, we may be the only women from the U.S. right now sleeping in our car in Oman. I think could be.
I'd say that's a pretty high percentage. We
probably are. But China, just every moment in China. When I went to go visit her a couple of years ago in Thailand, I went to Laos by myself for a week, and I sat at an Airbnb and out on the patio at sunrise, and the monks would come by, and just watching like the haze lift off, the fog lift off the town, and monks walking by was magic. I also just think that any moment I'm traveling is one of my favorite moments, even though, even through the breakdowns or even through I haven't had a lot of terrible travel times.
Yeah, it's hard.
I've had a lot that have just ruled.
Yeah. I think it's, like you said, just traveling in general is just incredible. I know it is the best gift you can give yourself to get out and go and experience and do and see and open your mind to that. It's the quickest way to open your mind, to show you that you're just a very small part of this beautiful world that we inhabit for now, you know?
Yeah, I think also our time in Norway, Finland, or
both
cabin.
Oh, that was
Finland on the frozen river, and just our special time there on the back patio and enjoying life. Yeah. I think that is obviously one of my favorite moments of my life.
Better say.
Yeah. But it's just truly a gift whenever we get to just hold space in someone else's life.
Yeah. I love your story of the Great Wall of China as well. That's one of my favorites of yours.
Oh man. I walked for an hour and a half by myself. And I got up to the point, stairs, and then there's a no, you can't walk anymore. Big hand, a sign with a big hand at one point where I was. Yeah, no hand. And I just stood there and I just started crying, and it was like, woohoo. And then I sat down and painted, and then I got down to the bottom. Yeah, so I walked for an hour and a half by myself. Not seeing any other humans because I went in February. And then there was a queue line, queue, but there was no one in it to go down. And you took a toboggan down by yourself. And I was by myself. Took the toboggan down. I think I met someone up there, another lady who was like, I want to go down, but I'm scared. I'm like, come on. But she was really slow, and I just took off. And then there was guards the whole way down, making sure that, when you pass them, you're okay. And I just loved it. So I'd be like, ni hao. And they'd be like, ni hao. Like, couldn't care. Like, we're busy there playing cards. But it was a 5-minute ride, and I filmed the whole thing of me just giggling, riding down the Great Wall of China. Because you took a chairlift up, or you could walk up for a really long time. I took a chairlift because I had a finite amount of time to be there, hours, but I still had to get back to my cousin's, which was a couple hours away. And just giggling going down. But just to be up there in that sacred, magical space by myself.
Yeah.
Was such a gift. Like, I just passed one man who gave me, peace signs, thumbs up, and I was like, peace signs, thumbs up. Because we didn't speak the same language, but we're checking on each other. Because he clearly hadn't seen anyone in a long time either.
Sure. It's like, oh shit, there's someone.
So yeah, that was a gift. Because then my mom's cousin, whatever that makes him a lovely family member to me, sent me a picture, just maybe 2 weeks later, and it was packed.
Yeah.
He was amongst a sea of people. Now, he may have gone to a different portion of the wall, but it was a sea of people. And I was like, oh wow, I had a very different experience.
Yeah.
Taking selfies back on a film camera, because there was no one to take my photo.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
it may have
so
been
neat.
digital, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, traveling is just, I think more people need to do it more.
I hope that more people can afford it and afford themselves that opportunity.
Totally.
If you can look at it like a new TV or a trip, you can travel very thrifty. I mean, I spent a month in Thailand for $3,000, including my flight. Like, it is very. So on that note, if anyone needs help planning trips, please reach out to us.
Yeah.
Who needs to do it on a budget? We would love to help.
Yeah.
It is such a gift to give yourself.
Totally.
If people find that as a gift, which I hope more and more people do, because I can't put
of course,
on someone else, my feelings, but I just find it to be such a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And yeah, it is. You can do it. You just have to plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not
flights, not even plan your whole trip out.
Just
your whole
trip.
Plan.
If you go flight and maybe, for the first 2 weeks like we did, we only had the first 2 weeks, so we had our flight and then our lodging for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then we just took a couple hours and sat down and planned the rest of the 2 weeks, or looked how they would look. Like, let's spend a couple nights here, let's take the bus here, let's go to these Baltic states, countries, and then take the local bus around.
Yeah.
But that idea didn't come to us till we were over there in that space.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right, last question.
All right.
It's not even a question. It's just if you had the ear of everyone in the world, what would you say to them?
Oh, I would say, please just stop and look in someone else's eyes and know that they are just like you. The things that make us different, we have all created. When you strip those away, we are all the same. And if you can rest in that and know that everything that is constructed by humans to make us different, from whatever powers that be that want us to feel like we're so different, if we take those away and take our power back in that, we are all very similar and really want the same things. We want to feel value, and we want to be loved, and we want to just live our lives, be able to end with living those lives, being able to love the people we want to love, or the beings we want to love. So just stop.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you for having me.
First Beautifully Human podcast.
This is really lovely.
This
Thank
is
you
a
for
lot of
having
fun.
me.
We talk an unbelievable amount throughout the day, every day. But this was very fun too. We were just constantly hanging out. So we're always talking. But this was really fun.
Yes.
It's fun to just sit across from you and look in your eyes.
Intentionally talk to
have
each
this,
other.
Yeah, have this cool conversation where I get to learn a little bit about you. You get to hear about the first time I got a gun pulled on me, which is crazy. Yeah. It's cool. It's a lot of fun to do that. So
I'm very proud of you in this beautifully human mission you're on.
Yeah,
So
we're all beautifully human. Everyone's story matters. Everyone's story has power. And I want to show that with everybody. We're all just human. And it's beautiful.